guys, it is Cassidy and
Christine,
and we are back here at the Wellington Public Library, and we are actually in the YA section tonight. And it is almost the end of October, so we have Mr. Skeleton behind us to set the mood. And we are here today to talk about the new releases that we just got. So these are October new releases.
for
Are we
young
gonna call
adult
them
that-
November?
Yeah, because I feel like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to put them up and there's going to be like 2 days of October that they're up.
Yeah.
So there's more like November new releases.
Right.
Ish.
But let's just back up a little bit, and Christine, in her best teacher voice, is going to tell us what YA stands for.
Okay, so YA stands for young adults. Usually your main character is 13 to 19, sometimes early 20s. But this is going to be more middle school and up. Who wants to read these? I read these. She reads these. Like,
This is
I mean,
probably
it's
my
good.
fave.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of adults actually think that they can't read YA because it's for teenagers, but
No.
I read everything. Okay, I don't read board books and picture books, I'll tell you that. But I read pretty much everything out of the... I read juvenile, YA, and adult, and this is by far my favorite genre. I think this is all you read. Well, you read juvenile, obviously.
Right, yeah. And I mean, I can cut and edit and do all that stuff. Okay, so I have read adult books. Sorry, you're going to notice a little blip in the recording there, and that's because her daughter called her while we were recording. So, but we're back. And I have read adult books, and I do enjoy adult books, but there's just something about YA because there's still a little bit of that innocence. There always seems to be way more action, adventure. They aren't as jaded, I think. Like a lot of adult books, it just, you're blah. And these, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I remember what it was like to be like that,
to
have
that spark.
Yeah, and that inspiration. And
So did we basically just say we don't have that anymore?
Don't have what?
That spark, and that we're jaded and old, and
yes.
So anyways, let's edit that part out too.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
no.
just kidding.
No,
I'm
kidding. Keeping it.
So we are actually, just because our juvenile order video got a little bit long, we're going to try and pare it down by like 3 minutes this time, you know?
Maybe,
So yeah, we'll keep it at like 15 instead of 18. But we can't make any other promises. So we both picked 6 books out of the order of probably, how many books do you have down there?
Oh, 35 or 40, because not all the books came.
Right.
Which they do to me every time.
I know.
I want all of them.
Bad.
But it's okay.
So we picked 6. I have some sequels and some books that are in series that kids are gonna, go nuts for when they find out that they're in. But then we also have some new fiction paired in there. So let's get started. I will start with, this is book 4 in the Blackthorn Key series. We read this, the Blackthorn Key, in June for Tween Book Club. Kids loved it. It is historical fiction set in the 1600s, and he is an apothecary apprentice. And action, adventure, things blowing up. This is the 4th book in that series, and my son is already over the moon, excited. He'll be the first one to check this out because he gets those privileges.
Well, and I bought the whole set. This isn't the last book, so don't think like whole set like, ooh, this is the final. The author said that he will be writing more. But I bought the set that's out right now for my classroom, and I already have our girls that came over for book club clamoring to get the next ones in the series because they want to get to this book.
Yeah, so good. The series is called The Blackthorn Key. It's by Kevin Sands. This one is Call of the Wraith. So this is recommended, I would say, ages 10, 11, and up.
Right, I liked it.
It's
really
good. Fun, fast-paced, nothing mature.
Right, it's a safe read.
Super great.
Okay, well, since you did a book club one, I'm going to do a book club one.
Oh, awesome.
So this is The Golden Tower. It is the 5th, just kidding, it's the 5th and final book in the Magisterium series. And this we did in book club also in June.
Yeah.
We had good books in
We read
June.
a lot,
We
yeah.
did good. And the kids loved it. That was a series we could not keep on the shelf either. Like, the books were on hold for forever. This, like I said, is the final book, and we had a 7th grade boy, and as soon as Cassidy pulled it out of the box, we had a 7th grade boy who was like, "Can you catalog this now?" And he was like in tears because he wanted it
I told him
so
Christine
bad.
didn't work for a couple of days, and she's the cataloger, and I didn't know how to do it, and he was in tears. So we figured it out.
Yeah,
they got it
done.
already been checked out, even though it's a brand new book.
Right. So, like, if you have kids who are fans of Harry Potter, or maybe, I know some people don't like their kids reading Harry Potter, this would be a good alternative because it doesn't have anything to do with witches or wizards. It's just magic. They're mages who possess magical powers. And the unique thing about this series is that your main character did not want to get into this magical school. He did not want to have magical powers. He tried to fail the test to get in and ended up getting in anyway.
Yeah.
And it's the same as that. You have a lot of action, you have adventure, you have plot twists. I mean, just by the end of the first book, you're like, whoa, you did not see what happened coming. And so, like, I want to read the rest of these series.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
find out,
I have
especially
adults that are reading it right now too. So,
yes, well,
yeah.
especially because this character, I need to know, is he evil?
I know.
I have to find out because he was the good guy in the first
just
book.
like it because there's a dragon on the cover. Admit it, for sure.
I do.
Obsessed
Dragons.
with dragons. Okay, my next book is actually the second book, which I think this is just a duology, so there are only 2 books in the series. It's called Muse of Nightmares, and it is by Laini Taylor. Is that how you say it?
Oh,
Leonie?
I didn't say-
I think it's Laini.
I didn't say the author in my last book. Oops, it's Holly Black.
Holly
and
Black.
Cassandra Clare.
Which
Okay.
writes a ton. Both of those authors are super famous and super
Yes.
good. So, Muse of Nightmares, second book to Strange the Dreamer. She has a couple of other series out that are great too.
You told me that you cried.
I
when
did.
You
So the first
read
book,
Strange
I
the
really
Dreamer.
kind of didn't want to read it. Strange the Dreamer. It's a high fantasy. It's set in a completely different world. Loved it. Loved it. I'm not a huge fan of like really descriptive, passionate books.
She's not.
I'm not.
She
I'm a
yells at me
skimmer
about them all the time.
Yeah, I just like to get straight to the action, to the facts. But this book was beautiful. Well, the first book. I have not read Muse of Nightmares, but I'm so excited to. Super gorgeous, descriptive book. A little bit of romance, not a ton, but just great world building, super unique. I would suggest there is violence and, like I said, some romance, adult themes. So I would keep this more for high school. I would say 15, 16 plus on this series.
All right. Okay, so since it's, almost Halloween, though who knows what it will be whenever you watch this, I'm going to do one of our horror books. This is called Awake by Natasha Preston, yes. And we had several requests for more of her books because she's a really good psychological thriller suspense writer. And this one sounds good. A girl is in a car crash, and when she wakes up, she doesn't remember anything from before the car crash. And then as she starts putting the pieces together and starts figuring things out, she realizes she knows a secret that could get her killed. So, I mean, from what other people have said and just the requests that we've gotten, I feel like this would be a good horror if you're into psychological thrillers, things like that.
Yeah,
This would
like,
be...
this. When I read the jacket, I thought, oh, this is kind of like Gone Girl or The Woman on the Train for teens.
Right, yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, cool. My next one is The Librarian of Auschwitz. This is not a brand new book. I think it's been out for about a year now. It's up for several awards. The author is Antonio Iturbi, maybe.
Iturb?
Iturb.
I'm not sure.
I am so excited to read this historical fiction. It is
Well,
actually... No, I was going to
Like,
say,
yeah.
the author, actually did interviews with a real life survivor of a lady that was in her teens at Auschwitz death camp, basically.
Right, yeah.
And so this is told, it's basically a retelling of her story. She was 14. She was in the concentration camp, and Jews had smuggled in books, and she had to try and keep them safe from the Germans and try to keep herself safe. So very cool historical fiction. I probably cry on this one too.
Yeah, like it, I want to read it for sure. All right, so this one, I picked kind of a, I don't know, controversial one, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure. This is called Devils Within. This is about a boy who is raised in a white supremacist compound. He had his first kill at 8, and to earn his way in, like to be in the compound with his family. And then at 11, ends up killing his father and is sent to a treatment center. Well, now he's integrated with people of other races, people he's been taught to hate upon sight. And he struggles with the integration, but he meets someone who kind of helps open his eyes, and he doesn't want to reveal his past. He doesn't want people to know about his monster, his devil within that he has had to deal with. So it's been touted as an American History X for teens. So I'm not sure of the content. I would definitely probably say you want to be high school to read this. And it is by S.F. Henson. So,
and it looks like it has already won a William Morris debut award. So, or it's a finalist.
So, yeah.
So it is getting a lot of press and a lot of acclamations.
Right, and I kind of want to read it just to see, you know, this line kind of caught me when I was reading the jacket. It's a thought-provoking, no-holds-barred look at the plague of white supremacy in contemporary American culture that may have you examining your own soul.
Goodness,
like
gracious.
This intense.
That actually kind of leads into my next book. We have talked a lot about diversity lately in literature, and especially YA is growing so fast, leaps and bounds, that we want to make sure that we have books that are diverse and that not only represent, you know, certain types of authors and popular and things, that we want to make sure that we are doing authors that are of all races, genders, everything across the board, because teens are, you know, it's a whole new world, right, basically, and they know how to navigate it. So we are trying to keep up with that.
Yes.
So that book is definitely
a
total extreme version of that. But this one is called The Marrow Thieves, and it is written by a Native American author. His name is, goodness gracious.
I know, it's covered.
See, we covered it up.
We were talking about
Demoline, maybe. Yes, when we process books, we have
a lot of stuff on the
labels, which
spine,
actually it works out well when you come in to look for a book, because if you love a certain genre, all you have to do is look for it, and then and you'll find that Christine labels the heck out of these.
I haven't got all of them done. Like, don't expect to come in here and find all of it done yet. It will be done someday.
But this one is called The Marrow Thieves. Look, it's already received a ton of awards and different recognitions for it. It is actually a dystopian, which it says science fiction on here, but it is dystopian. Native Americans in the near crazy future are hunted for their bone marrow because they have something special in there that nobody else has, and so they are hunted down and killed for that special trait. Very cool premise. I've never heard of a book, anything like this.
Well, and it has like global warming, like that's one of the issues that it's tackling as well, and that's why they're wanted.
Sure. Super cool looking book. I am very excited. I do think that this does have mature content again, so make sure that this is going to a higher teen.
Older kids.
Yep, older kids, for sure.
All right, well, since I'm going to bring this book. This is Solo by Kwame, I'm not sure, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Alexander. And this is a realistic fiction, and this is about a boy who is the son of a washed up, drug addicted old rock star. And everyone just assumes that he's going to follow in his father's footsteps. And this is about his journey of trying to show that he's a completely different person. He still loves music, he wants to make music, but he does not want to end up like his father. He learns about family secrets. It's about finding himself, dealing with his girlfriend, possibly going to Ghana to kind of get in touch with his roots. And it's told in verse, so it's kind of a poetic telling of his life's journey.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So
I don't know if I could do that.
So, I mean, if you enjoy poems or stories in verse written, almost kind of like journal form, you will enjoy this. I'm not sure of the content, so you might have to look it up first to see if you would be okay with like your middle schooler reading it, but high schoolers for sure would enjoy this.
Yeah, cool. I am, for my 5th selection, we bought the entire series. The series has been out, I think it was like 2000.
Except book 4.
Except for book 4.
We need book 4.
I know, I don't know how I missed that, for sure. Especially since the back has like 5 or 6 books. And I was like, it's a 3, it's a trilogy, for sure. But anyways, this is called the Mortal Engines series. And I don't have cable or TV. I don't watch any of that stuff. And something random, a commercial came on, and I looked up, and all my teens are sitting here. What's that director's name that did The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings? Does anybody know?
Oh my gosh.
What is his name?
It's right there.
I know. Anyways,
wait, Sam's looking it up. He's looking it up for us.
Sorry, all of our teens are sitting behind us, giving us dirty looks the entire time that we're doing this. But anyways, that super famous director that made Lord of the Rings has a new series coming out. Peter Jackson. Thank you very much, Sam. Peter Jackson is making a new book, he's turning a book series into a high action fantasy series. So, and it looks super cool. So we actually didn't have it here at the library. It is called The Mortal Engines. It's by Philip Reeve. It's, again, fantasy. It's dystopian. It is set here in our world, Earth.
And steampunky.
Steampunky, yeah, it kind of seemed like that. So they're actually, all the major cities are now traveling cities. I don't know how in the world they're going to do this on film, but I think it's set in London, but it gets up on legs like a spider and walks around the world.
Like, did you ever watch Waterworld, like way back in the 90s? Okay, so do you remember that, how like the cities like floated?
Yeah, that's
I don't know,
true.
Maybe that's
so, yeah.
like that.
So anyways, that comes out around Christmas, so I for sure will be reading at least the first one before that comes out. Just because I always read the book before the movie comes out.
That's
but Peter
right.
Jackson's an amazing director.
I know, so who knows?
I love The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, so
yes.
I bet he's going to do a great job with this.
Same here. All right, so my next book is The Iron Flower by Lori Forrest. And this is book 2 in the Black Witch Chronicles. And something I have really liked about the Black Witch Chronicles is that it tackles all of the social issues going on in our world today, but with magical creatures. It covers prejudice, sexism, racism. You have religious zealots. You have homophobia. You have bullying. You have corrupt government. She's read the first one. She hasn't read this one yet. I mean, and it's eye-opening because as you're reading about it happening to like these mages and the fae, there's selkies, there's elves, sorceresses, Celts, like.
Yeah. It just takes basically all magical creatures and gives them human characteristics to the point where
Right.
you're like, oh,
Right,
wow,
and-
they're really going there and doing
Yeah,
this in a
and
great
it's,
way.
and it's
Yeah.
deep. Like, I
It
mean,
is.
as you're reading it, you're like, oh my goodness. Like, you can apply it to everything that's happening
Yeah.
in the world today. And just reading it from that perspective, I think really opens your eyes to how bad
Yeah.
some of it is. Because, you know, you're reading it and you're like, what? Like, this is, you know, so the injustice, oh my gosh. And then you're thinking, wait, that's really happening.
Yeah, that really happens to real people, not just selkies, which are
Right, seals that
seals,
can turn
like
into
girl
humans.
seals. Yeah, it was.
Right, you just have to read it to kind of find out how that goes. Yeah, some of these things I listed, I think, are magical creatures made up just by the author for this series.
Yeah.
But you've got a little bit of romance going on. Well, okay, a lot of romance going on.
Not in the first book.
Not in the first
Black
one.
Witch,
In
but
this one, and oh, this is something that I hate when series do. The Black Witch, clean. You can have. We had a couple seventh grade girls read it. Really enjoy it. This one I would not let them read. It does not go into explicit, mature detail, but it does have a couple situations where things are happening and they're like, I don't know. I would not feel comfortable at all letting a seventh grader read it. I would want at least a freshman in high school to be reading this. So I will not be recommending The Black Witch to any more middle schoolers. I will recommend it to high schoolers so that way they can read the second book and I will not feel bad about it. But there is a lot of action adventure. The plot twists are insane. Like, you do not see some of the things coming. Some you do, but some you don't, especially in this one, like towards the end. You know, I was telling her there were some things I was annoyed about, so I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening, and she can't stop saying how beautiful his face is, and I'm over it. But then, like, all the action and everything started happening, I was like, oh my gosh, Cassidy, you have to read this book. So she might read it.
Maybe. Who knows? I did like The Black Witch. I really did. I actually think I told you to read that.
She did, yeah. I read it based on her recommendation.
Just because, like Christine said, it has so many, I mean, every single social issue that teenagers deal with today is in that book. Which I'd be interested to see if they picked up on a lot of it, or if they just thought, oh, this is fantasy. Sorry. And not real.
Oh, no.
That worked out well. But that didn't make me notice we're at 20 minutes already.
Oh
This
my
is
goodness.
so long.
Well, good thing we decided
I know.
not to do the whole order.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm going to do my last book real quick. Since it is Halloween and it is YA, I picked House of Furies, and it is by Madeline Roux. I don't ever know when it's Roux, how the French pronunciation is. I really think it's
Rue
Roux.
or Row or something like that.
But she actually wrote the Asylum series, which is another very disturbing, spooky series that kids love. I will tell you, I had juvenile or middle school. I can see high school a little bit, but I had a ton of middle schoolers last month when I went and talked to them say they wanted more horror and scary stories, which I was really interested in. I don't remember reading that stuff when I was in middle school.
I did.
Especially after I watched Pet Sematary. I was like, nope, I'm going to stick with good stuff. Anyways, so House of Furies is, it's a gothic story, so that means it's set back in the 1800s. It's in England. Very cool, a little bit creepy. It wasn't that scary, I didn't think, as they toted it. But I did listen to it on audio, so maybe it would be a little bit different if I was reading it at night by myself instead of listening to it in the car on the way to Wichita. So, but I do think I have several teens that I know already that'll be really interested in this House of Furies.
All right, and my final book is Wild Card by Mary Lou. This is book 2 in the Warcross series. Virtual reality gamers, you're gonna love this book. It's about Amika Chin. She is a professional hacker and, oh my gosh, what's it called? Bounty hunter.
I'm like, okay, put me on the spot.
Yes,
I haven't read
think
any
my
of these.
brain,
Yeah.
think about it. And Warcross is one of like the biggest virtual reality games in the world. Like they have championships. People can log in on their TVs with glasses. Like they have glasses that log you in. Like the whole world has been turned into a virtual reality. Like you can wear contacts, where like just going certain places like gives you points. Going to a restaurant and ordering a certain drink that day like ups your coins or points or, you know, whatever.
Oh my goodness. So it's like,
but this big Warcross championship is going on, and there's a hacker who hacks in and is messing things up, and so she ends up helping the person who invented all of this in Japan, helping them try to figure out who hacked in, what's going on, and then the story just goes from there. So it's kind of like an action mystery, but set around virtual reality. And so in Wild Card, she is going into the hacker's world. There's a big plot twist. I can't tell you too much about this book because if you want to read Warcross and haven't yet, I will ruin it if I tell you what this book is about. But just know, if that's the kind of things you like, if you enjoy reading that, like Ready Player One.
Or these two boys over here sitting here on the computer playing Roblox. This might be a book for you.
You would like
it's
this.
all about gamers. They just like, no.
But and I mean, it was a decent read. I'm not super into that, so I enjoyed the story, and I would recommend it to anyone who wanted to read it. I would say 8th grade and up. Wouldn't be too comfortable with 6th and 7th graders, but 8th grade and up, I would feel comfortable.
Oh, okay. I know that this one actually just got picked up too, and I think that they're in the works of making this series into a movie too. So
We'll see.
I know, which I did read Ready Player One, and I loved it. And then I went and saw the movie, and I was like, what did you do, Steven Spielberg? Seriously, like, what was that?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I want to be the screenwriter. I want to go to all these movies and be like, okay, this is what you can cut out, and this is what you can't. But then we'll have like one movie would take up like 5 movies.
For sure, which I'd be fine with. Netflix, that's what Netflix is for. They need to make everything
This is movie
series.
1, part 1, movie 1, part 2.
For sure. Big time.
Yeah.
So that was 12 books out of the 35 that we got this month. It was hard to pick just 6 apiece, so we have some amazing books. Adults, don't be scared of YA. Kids, come in and check it out. I have a lot of middle schoolers that come downstairs and they kind of look around and they don't feel like they can come up here yet. But,
but they can.
Yeah, come in. We will help. Ask
we
us
will make sure that we aren't giving them something that's not appropriate.
Right.
I like my voice. I've been sick, and so now I'm really hearing how I sound.
How scary you are.
I'm sorry for this whole video of sounding like this.
Whatever, she was great. Okay, so we have hit 25, 6 minutes
Well,
now.
plus with whatever we added from before when our video
my
got
daughter
cut off.
called.
So
Okay.
this is a long video.
Yeah, so for sure we are going to sign off. We actually are going to do a couple of Instagram stories, some quicker, easier stuff, and maybe just a little bit more rants and raves about what we love about books and what drives us crazy about books. So tune into our Instagram. What is our handle?
It is Wellington KS Library, all together. Because we were thinking about doing, like just having our stories, doing rants and raves, quick book talks, like what we've just read, maybe what we've just read for book club. Like we want to start being more interactive on there as well. So if you don't follow us on Instagram and you have one, follow us. If you don't know what Instagram is, ask your kid,
and they will know what Instagram is.
Get you on there.
If I know what it is, then you guys have to know what it is.
So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm Cassidy and
Christine,
and we are the Wellington Public Library
Youth Librarians.
Come in and see us for sure. All right.
Thanks.